Sunday the 2nd of August. It's 8:20. We're getting ready to set off now towards Fradley and Alrewas. Don't know how far we'll get. We might make Alrewas, we might not, depends on the weather a lot of the time. We've got 7 locks if we go all the way to Alrewas today, but there's nothing until we get close to Fradley, which is probably going to be this afternoon. So this morning is going to be sort of lock free, I would think. So we should be able to continue on through Handsacre, Armitage, Kings Bromley. The aim is Alrewas, but we might decide to stop before then. Can't remember whether I introduced you to Donald, our little mascot, who sits on his nest on the roof of the boat as we're cruising along. Donald was picked up in the Alrewas Canal and has been with us ever since. He's been knocked off by trees that we've gone under, but we've always rescued him and brought him back. As we come out into the open, you can see Rugeley Power Station. Dominating the skyline. And there's the West Coast main line on the other side. Morning. It's a lovely morning. That's the view looking back, and that's the edge of Cannock Chase where the woods are. Leaving that behind there. Quite a few golden fields of wheat. Well, we've just come under Rugeley Bypass Bridge. And we're heading towards the Trent Aqueduct, which is dead ahead of us, where that weeping willow tree is. What are you doing?
I'll hold it for you if you want.
Yeah, okay.
There's those bloody steps down here.
You shouldn't swear on the film.
Not to swear. On this board. There, is that it? There. The site of the bloody steps.
Right, yeah.
Carried up the steps to the Talbot Inn.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that garden, it's lovely, isn't it? Yeah.
Just entering Rugeley now. Got a fisherman, some CRT work going on here. This is the narrow tunnel at just past Rugeley. You can see how narrow it is. And we've just slowed the boat because Sue's gone up ahead to make sure nothing's coming. I don't think there is, but I better wait for the signal. She's got the two-way radio. Hello. Yeah, I acknowledge you. Perhaps you hear it. I'm on my way. Faced with. You can see both sides now. It's a steep rock face. This used to be a tunnel, but it was opened up when they put this road in. So I'm watching this side. You can see the rock face. I don't know if the camera is bright enough for the camera to pick up. It is narrow, and it was a tunnel. I don't know where my second mate's got to. Oh, I can see it. On in. Panic over. Looks like it's raining as well. So we're safely through the tunnel, and the canal here is like on an embankment. There's a road down below us, and there's a pub here. And it's like a raised embankment just here. The Plum Pudding Brasserie. On the sign, that's a nice little old house, that is. And up ahead is the Armitage Shanks factory. After 4 hours of cruising this morning, we've arrived at our first lock of the day. So we've had a fairly level journey, and we're at Wood End Lock, which is the first lock on the approach to Fradley. So that corner there, where that boat is going, is a 90-degree bend. Then it takes the canal in a northwesterly direction, heading off towards the potteries, and now we're going more or less southeast, and we're heading for Fradley Top Lock, which is right at the end of the straight. Told there are volunteer lockies on, so that helps out, keeps things flowing nice and smoothly. Oh, that's my volunteer locky. Getting ready. She's a lock expert. You don't argue with her when she tells you to do something at a lock. So here we are at Shade House Lock. One lock keeper kindly opened the gate for us well in advance, and we just came straight in, and we can hear them on the radio, so it sounds like there's lockies at each lock, and they've got the thing under control, which keeps everybody moving. So that's into middle lock, and it's looking quite busy down at the pub, so I think we're going to go straight through. Don't want to be in amongst the crowds particularly. And this is the junction with the Coventry Canal. You see the signpost pointing right, that's towards the Coventry Canal. I think we've got a boat in the lock, so we'll have to moor over in front of the pub, so there'll be plenty of people passing remarks about the boat name. Oh, he's going down, so we're going to have to wait for the lock to be filled. So yeah, we're going to have to moor up. You've always got to be careful of a boat emerging from the right at this point, because he's going to need the full width of the canal to turn, whether he's going left or right. It's quite a tight turn with a long narrow boat, but I can't see anything coming out. There's one moored at the entrance. So here we are outside the Swan. I'm going to turn the camera off and concentrate on pulling the boat in. So that one's just pulled out of the Coventry Canal Junction. Fortunately, he's going the opposite way to us. Very tight here. The lock landing is right in front of the lock, so you've got an awkward approach to get your bow in and then your stern across. But as expected, it's very busy with gongoozlers and people visiting the pub, so we're staying on the boat, not getting off. So one's just gone down, so Sue's got to fill the lock, and there's no volunteers on this lock, so she's on her own, I'm afraid. So we're inside the lock now, and should be going down any time. Goodbye, the Swan. One thing we have to periodically do is pump the bilge out, and that's what I'm doing at the moment. You can see down there there's a pump with a pipe coming up. That's a small 12-volt bilge pump that extracts the water from the bilge. There's just there is what's called the stern gland, which is obviously where the prop shaft goes through the hull to get to the propeller, and that needs to be greased on a daily basis to prevent water ingress, but even when you do grease it, I mean, we've done, I don't know, 60, 70 miles probably. This is the first time I've done it on this trip. So one drip every, I don't know, 5 seconds, which is what's happening now. If you see, it's just dripping. Does obviously accumulate to quite a large amount of water over time. So it's a good idea just to keep on top of it. It's more or less emptied it now. The pump won't take every last drop out because obviously the bottom of the pump's got a thickness where the veins are, so it doesn't actually pump it totally dry. But I think it's just about done it now. We've arrived in Alrewas. We got here about, I think it was about 2:30, 2:15, something like that. We've been cruising for 6 hours today, which has been quite a long day. We haven't stopped for lunch. We stopped for locking, and that was it really. We were on the outskirts of Alrewas, approaching 2 o'clock, so we thought we'd crack on and get here and get a mooring. Sometimes it can be quite busy, particularly on this stretch, which is in the middle of the village. So we've been here a while now. It's just past 7:10 at night. We've been to the co-op and got the bread and milk that we needed. We've had a dinner and now we're just chilling out. It's a lovely summer's evening. I'm going to have a walk around the churchyard in a bit to have a look, which is just, can't see the bridge, it's just out of sight, but there's a bridge just round the bend, and the entrance to the churchyard is just at the end of the bridge. So we've done 8 locks today. We had planned on 7, but because we've come into Alrewas rather than stay on the outskirts, we've come through the 8th lock, which was Bagnall Lock, just as you enter the village. So that's one less we've got to do tomorrow. So the plan tomorrow will be to get to Willington by evening, which should be fairly straightforward. We'll be going through Burton on Trent up by the A38, and we should be at Willington, depending what time we start. We should be at Willington by 4-ish, 5 o'clock, and then one more day and we're back home. Right, I'm on my walk around Alrewas. I'll just have a few snapshots to get the flavour of the place. This is the little footbridge. From up here you can see along the canal there's a bit of a reflection in the water, which is stopping us. That's it, that's better. So that's our boat just below the tall spire that you can possibly see. That's better. Yeah, ours is the last boat that you can see, and that's where we're moored, right in the middle of the village. And the canal bears left where the big tree is. We're moored there, coming up on that bend, but I think where we are now is better. And this is the churchyard, which I'm going to have a browse around, see if I can find anything that might be interesting. And that's Alrewas Church. Don't know a lot about its history, but it's a nice building in a nice setting. I'll continue to have a look around the churchyard. All around the perimeter are the old gravestones, and they're the ones really I'm interested in, because they carry the most colourful inscriptions sometimes, and add a bit of history to the people that they represent. Another angle on the church. It's a lovely evening. This is an interesting stone. This stone was erected by his friends and fellow workmen to the memory of the late John Wilson, who was bitten by a dog and died in 9 months after from hydrophobia on the 21st of March 1872, aged 24 years. Sad. Here's the grave of John Paskin, who died February the 16th, 1831, aged 79, a good age. And his epitaph reads, "Afflictions sore long time I bore, physicians were in vain," were spelt W-H-E-R-E, "till God did please to give me ease and free me from my pain." John Paskin. More wise words in memory of Phineas Dolman, who died May the 4th, 1904, age 87. And Martha, his wife, who died 22nd of December 1903, aged 74. We do not know who next may fall beneath thy chastening sod. One must be first, so let us all prepare to meet our God. If I read all these, I'd be here all night. They've been placed all the way around the boundary wall of the churchyard. These Victorian headstones, all in slate, these are all very well preserved. And they go down there as far as the eye can see, and I'm not going to read them all. I just read a sample. I was interested to see if there were any graves of navvies that worked on the canal, but I suppose navvies wouldn't be able to afford headstones. This is an amusing epitaph. It's to John Audley, late of Orgreave, who was a surgeon, and he died August the 28th, 1763, aged 63. So he was born in 1700, and it says at the bottom, "Mourn not for me, spectator dear, I am not dead, but sleeping here. My debt is paid, my grave you see. Wait but a while, you'll follow me." Very reassuring, but true. And he's right next to the porch. Whether that indicates a man of importance, I don't know. So I'll make my way back to the canal, and we'll have a walk down towards the river. And that's the Bowls Club, which again is very, very well kept. So this is where the Trent Mersey leads on to the River Trent proper. And there's a warning board as usual before you get onto the river to let you know the state of the river, which at the moment we know is normal because it said so at the top of the village. They need to tell you before the winding hole, otherwise you can come past, find the river's in flood, and then you can't turn round. So this was Alrewas Lock. It's the last lock before the canal joins the river. We've been close to the River Trent all the way down, really, from Stoke-on-Trent, and the further downstream we've come, obviously the river's got wider and no doubt deeper, but it looks fairly benign at the moment. But that's the river winding its way through the water meadows, and then at this point that's where the boats join from the little neck up to the lock. So we're looking now at the River Trent, as I say, which looks nice and flat, calm. Hopefully it'll be like that tomorrow. I'm not going to go any further, but you can see there that line of buoys or obstructions. That's to obviously stop the current taking your boat down that channel, which I think there's a weir there. It drops down, and obviously that's to protect boats from being caught in the current if it's a strong current, and ledging on the weir. So that's the sight you see as you approach from Burton-on-Trent, with the chevrons telling you to keep left. Not that you'd want to go under the walkway, would you really? You wouldn't get. But that's looking back towards Alrewas village and the lock. And there's the indicator board on the bottom wall of the lock, and the water level is actually below the bottom of the green, so I think we're going to be safe tomorrow. And after a pleasant evening walk, a pleasant evening drink, the end of a perfect day.